I've got a machine running in SkyTap in Texas, and I've given it an IP address of 164.1.4, specifically to match the IP address that is synthetically returned to my remote client. It's got CPA running, it's registered with Win10 Pro 64, internet security is running. If I come across to a client PC which is running in my data center locally here, it's 192.168.1.72, and so if I ping Win10 Pro 64.welshgeek.net, I get that IP address. This is obviously just because I happen to have had 3 previous segments, and I've made sure that these things actually match. So it's a coincidence that I've engineered. So I can help someone. I can run Advanced Connect, and I say Win10 Pro 64, and it'll go off and it'll try and connect. And if I come over to this user, I should see a connection request. I click yes. It says you can see the screen, and now I see the screen. Now for some reason this is skewed, but it does mean if I run a dir, it should pop up on the screen there shortly. So there is some delay, and there's something funky going on with the connectivity, and it's just dropped. So some more diagnosis might be necessary. It might be a UDP traffic flow kind of thing that we need to think about. What I'm saying is, it's possible that an RPC endpoint mapper proxy function might help. We might also be able to do a synthetic IP for each client, which is a local listener that might also be returned through the endpoint mapper response. In one of these things, this is a packet capture from before, but in this response here, in this payload, this was a slightly different capture, but you see it returns desktop 192, which is the real address that I was using at the time, as well as the 164 address. So the response from an endpoint mapper perspective does return the FQDA, or the host name, the real IP, the IPs that are assigned, including IPv6 addresses. So the client does try to connect to them, but for some reason, obviously they're the real IPs and aren't routable. And domain suffix search order should resolve this piece, but doesn't. So there's a number of avenues to kind of get this thing working, but I don't believe it's just as simple as doing an endpoint mapper proxy.